Good evening, everybody. A warm welcome to East Grinstead Town Council Public Services Committee on Thursday, the 7th of March. Very warm welcome. We're very honoured to have some guests this evening. So, James Lowell from Queen Victoria Hospital, welcome again. Twice in 2 meetings, so you'll be getting a card to the staff Christmas party. Thank you very much. Nick Brooks from Glendale Contractors, very warm welcome, Nick. Thank you very much for coming. You've got an agenda item this evening, so you're very welcome. Sasha Brown from MSVA, Mid Sussex Voluntary Action, very warm welcome. And also Bob Shelley, who's the chair of our Sports Council, who most of you will know. And I've asked Bob to attend tonight, obviously, because we've got Nick from Glendale on, and Bob has got a Sports Council meeting in a few weeks' time. So he's actively involved, as you all know. So very warm welcome to everybody. First item is public participation.
We have none.
Is there anybody on Zoom?
No, not this evening.
Nobody waiting in the waiting room or anything?
No.
Okay, so I was expecting some, so we'll move on. So first of all, can we do apologies for absence, please?
We've had apologies from Councillor Gibson and Councillor Scott, both who have a personal commitment this evening.
Okay, so if I can have a vote for committee members to accept those apologies, please. Thank you. And also, I think we have a substitution. Councillor Farron, leader of the council, substituting for Councillor Scott. So I'd like to propose that. Can I have a second for that? Thank you. Just to approve that, please, for Councillor Farron. Thank you. You're very welcome, Town Leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Item number 2 on the agenda is to receive the minutes of the meeting held on 30th of November and also the 22nd of January.
Excuse me 1 second. I failed to bring the minutes down, Chair. Which was rather daft of me. I will go upstairs and get them.
Just goes to show you think town clerk. This one is 13 years impeccable service. And now it's all gone here.
They've got a turn they want to do. Feel the claps.
So she doesn't fall down the stairs.
No.
Singing those heels.
I don't know, it's silence around the table. Because it was being recorded. I know.
So the printer's working.
Ready.
So I have the book, so I should sign the minutes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if I could have a vote for approval of 2 sets of minutes, please, 30th of November and 22nd of January. All those in favour? Thank you very much.
I can vote today.
And your steps for today. Double now.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 3 is Chairman's updates. Quite a lot of update here, but I'll try and get through quite quickly. Because we normally try and cover a few update subjects. First one is West Sussex County Council highways. Now, Councillor Gibson, who's one of our 3 county councillors, has given me late this afternoon a very lengthy summary of really the strategic roads information with budget figures and all the rest of it. Now, I'm not proposing to read all of that out. It's quite complicated. He didn't actually answer the question I asked him, is what is the work schedule and the timescales for filling the potholes and the road resurfacing programme. So we'll hopefully get that information before the annual town meeting in 3 weeks' time, because I'm sure that will be top of people's agenda. However, after last summer's much improved pothole repairs with the new jet patching machines, which were very, very impressive, the key routes such as Turner's Hill Road, Inverhorn Lane, Heathcote Drive, Gardenwood are frankly still in a dreadful state. We know that when potholes are repaired, they come undone again in the winter, and that's the current state. I'm sure most councils will be deluged with complaints of wheel damage, tyre damage, and the rest of it. The Duke's Head roundabout surface still remains. We don't know what's happening with that and when that's going to happen. And the frustration for me, and I'm sure many of you guys, when you're travelling to the M25, is Surrey County Council seem to get their road surfacing highways in order fairly well. They've done the New Chapel Road fairly recently, which is lovely. The Tilburstow Hill Road, which is the cut through from Blindley Heath to Godstone, that's recently been done. And they just seem to get on with potholes better than West Sussex. It just remains a frustration. So it's just for noting, but Councillor Gibson has provided a summary, but we still await Town Clerk the Highways Officers Programme and Resource Programme, which I think is going to be important to have before the annual town meeting, because certainly there are going to be a lot of questions asked about that. Pharmacies, I visited the newly taken over Moatfield Pharmacy, which is ex-Lloyd's, which is now operating very smoothly and with the new independent owners. Also, the Day Lewis Pharmacy in Filbridge, I popped in there because they've got that dispensing machine, and I saw Mary in there, and I said, "How's it going?" She said, "Yeah, the machine's very, very successful, very busy, and they're sort of increasing their business." Dentists, there've been a lot of public sort of articles and media coverage of dentists in relation to NHS access and private or not. So I did a bit of personal research on this, and East Grinstead has actually got a lot of private dentists, well over sort of 20 separate sort of dental practices. But only 6 of these have NHS services, and they're mainly badged for children 17 years and under. So any adult NHS services, they have to be referred specifically by presumably a GP or a hospital, and presumably if they're pretty serious cases. And even then, the band charges are band 1 is for NHS charges £26, band 2 £71, band 3 £306. So whilst East Grinstead is well served for dentists, it's not necessarily for NHS sort of access. Modality, we're covering obviously health on agenda item 8 this evening. So the town clerk has put in her report in the papers here some research that we followed up from previous meetings with modality. She has and I have, and also with the primary care network within East Grinstead. So that includes other GP practices and yourself, James, which you might touch on, obviously, in your situation again. But the bottom line is there appears to be what I would call green shoots with modality of improvement. We're told that they are recruiting and have recruited, hopefully, some GPs and some staff. I know you work closely, with them and others. But we're hopeful. There's another CQC report inspection must be due at some stage this year, so with them. But we are trying to support them and you whilst making sure that hopefully we do try and demonstrate that improvements are being made. Police matters, again, we should have Inspector Derrick hopefully at some stage. But again, through previous meetings, the town clerk and I, we followed up with Sussex Police in January. The town clerk certainly had a fairly lengthy and heavy exchange with the Police and Crime Commissioners officer, Mandy Cunningham.
Mandy Jameson.
Mandy Jameson, sorry, Jameson,
Yeah, James.
Jameson, my apologies. And I don't know if we've had an updated
I have
response.
chased it again in the last few days and I have not had a
Yeah,
response.
outlining a number of concerns that have been relayed to the council by members of the public in various matters. That's at PCC level. The town clerk and I met here in January with Chief PCSO Chris Lovelock. We went through a number of issues that specifically within the town had come up. The station, East Court, and a number of other locations. He was very good, and we maintain that close contact, as I know a number of councillors do. All communications via the clerk. In terms of food bank dialogue, again, at the last meeting, the food bank came in here, did a very good presentation. We've continued to maintain, communicate and work closely with the food bank. A further agenda item 11 tonight is called multi-agency signposting. It's a group that was set up by the food bank following their presentation here. Julian Spencer, who's their chair of trustees, said we wanted to pull all the main stakeholders in the town together to work together as a sort of a cooperative group. So that was the first meeting that was held 2 weeks ago, which I attended, with about 20 other stakeholders, very positive. So the papers are in agenda item 11. Imberhorn School, their headmaster, Lee Walker, is moving to a school in Suffolk. He lives in Suffolk. He's been at Imberhorn for about 18 months. So he's leaving at Easter. The deputy head, Kitty Marlborough, will be taking over for the summer term. I know that they are interviewing currently for a new head, and I think they're confident of an appointment for a head to start in September. And finally, last week, Mid Sussex District Council, in their budget meeting, you may have heard some of this, decided in their wisdom to raise parking charges in all three of our towns, parking tariffs. Burgess Hill by 10%, Haywards Heath by 20%, and East Grinstead by 30% on all of the tariffs. Additionally, the hours of 6 to 8 p.m. in the evenings would be chargeable. Additionally, Sundays would now become chargeable. Additionally, bank holidays would now become chargeable. So you can imagine the 8 East Grinstead district councillors were at the meeting last week were not very happy, still aren't very happy, but it got passed, so we have to work with it. I know that the East Grinstead Business Association have made pretty strong representation since that meeting, but it's just to inform this committee.
Two little bits
Right, so,
on the agenda.
couple of this. Oh yes, sorry. CCTV. The temporary cameras have now been put in place in East Court and Mount Noddy. There have been some early teething problems, but they are operational and hope to help deter the ASB that we have seen on the lower part of the estate. Loudall's Lane, near Baldwin Hill School, CCTV has been put in at the lane now, just by Clarion. The final part of the work depends on the West Sussex County Council position as to whether the boat can be removed.
Yes, if the boat is a byway open to all traffic.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You learned something.
Not actually a boat.
Okay. I drive past her a lot and I don't remember seeing one. So. Okay, so but they confirm the ownership now, and so hopefully I think we're hopeful of a final resolution with that has been going on for some while now. So eventually leading to upgrading for pedestrian and cycle route, which will connect obviously the north of the town straight away through to the centre of the town. So that will be a very, very good thing. Okay, so have we got Inspector Derrick?
Second Derrick's not here. He's not come into the Zoom room.
Okay.
And
well, I think well, what we'll do is we'll have him on hold, see if he can make an entrance later on. So we'll promote, if we may, please, James, to agenda item 6, which is the Queen Victoria Hospital. You're very welcome again. and the floor is all yours, sir.
Fantastic, Chair. Thank you. And colleagues, thank you so much for inviting me back again. I wasn't sure. I spoke for quite a while last time. Wasn't sure I'd get another invite. But, it was interesting. So we've had a really, really busy few months. We've set an ambition as an organisation to publish our strategy for September of this year, and we're on track to be able to deliver that, and that's fantastic. In January of this year, our boards took the first strategic decision along that strategy development that we had since we had taken the decision not to progress with the merger previously. So it was the first decision we took, which was that we would become or continue to be a hybrid organisation. So it's a hybrid organisation we wanted to be for the future. So we took a deliberate decision and co-produced that with our governors, our non-exec directors and our executive directors and key stakeholders. And what does that mean? That means that we're going to be an organisation that carries on doing everything that's great for Queen Victoria Hospital and build on us being a centre of excellence. We've got an ambition to continue delivering work to the entire country in our specialist portfolio. We'll really consolidate and look at the work that we provide for Kent, Surrey and Sussex in burns, in plastics care and in head and neck cancer. And we're really going to focus on what a local neighbourhood offer looks like. And that's fantastic. So we had a real commitment to make sure that that's what we were pursuing as an organisation and start to look at our clinical services. Also, as part of that decision we took, we also said what type of organisation we're not going to be. We've got no ambition to become a district general hospital. There's enough district general hospitals in Sussex that we don't need any more. So we took an absolute deliberate decision to say that we won't do things that aren't already in our portfolio. So we won't start to do gynae operations, for example. We won't start to do cardiology, that kind of thing. And we've got no ambition to become an urgent treatment centre. So that was really positive from the board to take the decision of what we were going to do and be, but also what we're not. And that really then sets a clear direction of travel. We then undertook to look at all of our clinical services, because that was the next step, to look at the clinical services that we provide at the moment and see what are viable for the future. And alongside doing that with our clinicians, we've done a whole review of a number of our first clinical services that went to board today. And what's really good within those services that we've looked at, we've identified that actually financially they're viable at the moment, and we benchmark well across the rest of the country, and that's fantastic to see. So when we're not looking at services that aren't financially viable, I think that really then plays into the fact that the clinical quality we provide is fantastic, and we then looked at those sorts of things. We're now working with Kent, Surrey and Sussex integrated care boards to say this is what our clinicians believe the future of QVH should look like. What is it you want to buy from us and commission? And so we set up a strategic commissioning meeting with Kent, Surrey and Sussex ICB to then say in September, when we come forward with a final strategy of what our clinical leaders say the organisation should look like, understanding the clinical pathways, how we best provide services across that patch for the local residents and the populations, and where services are likely to change for the future. We will also get a decision from the strategic commissioners as to what they want to purchase from us for the next 5 to 10 years. So that will really cement the future of the organisation in a really sustainable way, and that's what we're looking to do. We've not managed to achieve previously, so that's fantastic to see. We're also working with specialist commissioning nationally to say the work that we provide, so people come all over the country, for example, facial palsy services to us. We're one of the leading international facial palsy services, and people do come from all over the country for that. We want to cement that and make sure that that's sustainable for the future, and that's what the national NHS wants to buy. So it's really exciting times. We've got some decisions coming up. I think our next board meeting will be where we really look at the clinical services and make those deliberate decisions of where we want to grow the services. I've also been working with every provider chief executive from every hospital across Kent, Surrey and Sussex. I've personally been to meet with all of them, and we're also documenting what they want to do with us for the future. And at some points, for example, with Medway, they're really happy with the service that we provide and they want us to carry on doing that. With Royal Surrey, we're looking at what more we might provide, because actually it's a real quality brand for the clinical services we provide. And the Royal Surrey, as a cancer centre, want that quality mark for clinical work. So we're looking at what we might do for the future. Once we've got that all documented, that's when we'll start to take decisions with our clinicians and our key stakeholders of what the future of QVH will look like. Then in September, when we get that decision made by board, we will then be able to think about what does the site need to look like and how the new hospital programme might fund either a part build or a new build of a hospital, based on that being a business case for how much investment we might need to rebuild if that's the future of the organisation. So, you know, there's a lot to do, and it's a really exciting time. What I'm really, really pleased about is just the level of clinical engagement we've got. Our clinicians have come to the front to really help us deliver this strategy and develop it. I just left a session where there were 30 of the clinicians in the room talking about what the strategy looks like. These are clinical leaders spending time to actually say, this is what we believe the future of this organisation should look like clinically. And that's exactly what we need to be able to have a credible plan going forward. So I'm really excited. Then the work we're doing locally, we're building a a community diagnostic centre. So we've got £14 million worth of investment, and we'll be designing that and building it. We're doing it with primary care together to look at what's our offer. So we've got a community diagnostic centre, we've got a minor injuries unit, we provide some community services, and then with our GPs, we were out for dinner with them a couple of weeks ago to talk about how we might work better together, to then design what the local neighbourhood hub looks like for the local population. That and working with schools and other organisations to offer apprenticeships and be a real good anchor institution in the local area. We're really pleased with the strategy, the way it's developing, and actually we've had some really good feedback from local stakeholders.
Brilliant. I remember you mentioned that that's something that struck me in November. You mentioned the apprenticeships a lot. Any idea on sort of number or what your planned number is for those?
We're at 60 at the moment. So we're 1,000 staff in total, just over, and we have 60 apprenticeships. And you might have seen that we were featured on BBC Breakfast Show, and that was really good for us to be able to then showcase some of the work we do with the apprenticeships. So we've got an ambition to grow that workforce, and that's part of the reason I've been going out to schools to talk to the sort of the students of health and social care in the schools about careers in healthcare. And I'm an apprentice myself by trade.
Yes.
So I go up through that route and actually then talk to them about careers that they could get in the service, and then offering us those apprenticeships. But it's not just school-age children, it's also people later on in life that return to work. And apprenticeships are a really good way for them to get in.
Wow. I don't know how you cram all that into 7 days a week.
24 hours in my day.
Yeah. As boss said to me, 168 hours of working in a week. Yeah, you do all of them. Members, have you got any questions or comments for James?
You mentioned the community hub. I don't suppose you've got any more details or kind of plans that you wanted to share with us this evening.
So at the moment, we're just developing the plans of what that will look like. We believe that we're a 2-storey building. That's what we bid for, and that's what we've got the money for. We're working with primary care specifically as to what will actually go into that centre and what's required locally. So some will be physiological testing, some will be maybe some phlebotomy, and others will be imaging equipment, diagnostic equipment.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah, very much so.
Councillor Barney.
It all sounds very promising. How well provided are you with senior staff to make sure that everything is secure ongoing and recruitment and things like that? Any issues that you see challenging in future or
so
not?
We're really lucky in as much as we've got 2% vacancy rate, which when I became CEO of QBH, had to double check that number. That's probably the best vacancy rate of any NHS trust in the country. So that's great. So we're good in finding people like working with us. In fact, our survey results that have been published today show that, and we've improved even more so. I think we're the 3rd best organisation to work for in the country in some of the results, and that's superb to see. It's the first time our new Chief Operating Officer, Kirsten Simmons, has joined us from South London and Maudsley, and has started this Monday. And next Monday, Helen Edmonds starts as our Chief People Officer, and she joins us from the Kents and Medway Integrated Care Board. And we will be the first time we've had a substantive executive team in post for, I think, about 4 years. So when it comes to our executive, we are all substantive, and that's fantastic. It's the first time we've seen that. We've also got support from the new Director of Estates and Facilities, who's really working through some of the issues. And we have just appointed a substantive Associate Director for Estates and Facilities as well. So we're attracting good people. People want to come and work at QBH. It's a great employer. It's a really good place to work, and actually we do some really interesting innovative stuff. So we're lucky as much as we've attracted people. The last 5 consultant appointments we've put out, we've appointed consultants every single one of those. Some other trusts haven't had people apply for consultant jobs. We've not had a problem so far. So I'm really, really quite optimistic.
Very good.
Yeah, and I'm talking of estates, obviously, you've got the planning permission for the housing scheme, so that's another good capital income stream.
That is actually
for you.
£2 million, which is great. Thank you.
well, it's through the process, but I mean, I know that project has been in gestation for 5 or 6 years, really. So, but that just shows the point from planning is that you're reinvesting that, and you've got plans and and equal funding and all of it. So, what I thought was it was a brilliant Facebook post. I don't know who does your social media this week, but showing all of the nationalities.
Yes.
We want to just touch on that. It's absolutely stunning Facebook post. Classic case of less is more.
Indeed. So Michelle Bailey is our Associate Director for Communications and Engagement and works for the charity. And it's really good to just showcase just how many nationalities work within QDH. And there's going to be a real push across the whole NHS to start to highlight that. And it's really, really interesting to see how diverse we are as an organisation.
Yeah.
I've got them to manage to add the Maltese flag because that's your Maltese by birth. So that's
For those that haven't seen it, there are 70 flags, over 70 flags and nationalities which start the work for you. Absolutely fantastic post.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay. Anything else, members? No? Then James, thank you so much for coming in again. Really great update, really exciting. You're always welcome here. That's twice in a row now, so we might let you off for the summer, but whenever you've got something exciting you want to come and tell us, or any issues, obviously through the town clerk.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
The town council has always been 100% supportive of Queenbet and will remain so. So you do a great job. Please pass our thanks to all your staff.
I shall do. Thank you very much for your continued support.
Thank you very much.
Did I miss off declarations of interest? I did, sorry. So I've just been told off, so I've missed off agenda item 4. Members who may have any declarations of interest. Does anybody have any?
Nothing.
I don't think. I've just got to.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so should we move on to, still no Inspector Day?
I sent him an
Okay,
email.
all right, that's fine. He must be otherwise.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Good evening. Okay, agenda item 7. Very warm welcome to Nick Brooks from Glendale, who are the new contractor for Mid Sussex District Council for green spaces and more, I think. So I'm a district councillor, but I don't know. I'm all ears tonight because I'm very thrilled that you've come in. We've invited you and you've come in. So the floor is all yours, Nick. So if you just like, I know you were originally going to do some slides, but we couldn't facilitate it. But if you could do your best just by conversation, and then we'll just have a few questions if that's all right.
So it's pretty pertinent to kind of start off and tell you a little bit about Glendale, who we are and why we're here. So Glendale's been in existence for 30 years, and it was set up by our founder, an entrepreneur, who saw that there was a market for the newly outsourced contracts in the mid-90s and built business upon that foundation. And so we've continued through that primary element of business being local authority, grounds maintenance and forestry and arboriculture. So the whole company is based on that. That is our business model. We've obviously down the line, we've diversified, we do other things too. So we do tree planting, tree location, and we do landscaping, we do winter maintenance, so a big whole list of things. But anything that is green, that is our core business. So along that journey, unfortunately, our leader died 5 years ago, but the company remains as a family trust, and that is a really kind of strong ethic, strong kind of backbone of the company having family values, and the chief executive was quite often told off for putting the primary reason for being a business is to employ people and to train them to give them a career rather than making money. So we miss him, but the fundamentals are still there in the business. So we don't have external shareholders. There's a board, and there are 4 or 5 people on the board, and they are the principal shareholders. So we now, I think this year with this contract and a couple of others that have come through in successful business wins, we're probably at the region of £60 million for the turnover in the UK. So we have, I think, 38 local authority contracts across the UK, and we have ventured into commercial business now. So we do a bit of the other stuff, and what that means is looking after business parks and the likes of TK Maxx, and we're just in the throes of hopefully winning Sainsbury's. So quite a diverse bunch of kinds of work that we do, but the core business is contracts like this. So we've won many accreditations over the years, we've got lots of accolades to our name, but the key thing is winning a contract like this and getting involved. So this contract's quite different, so I'm not sure how much you all know about the contract, but it's a very different one than the previous of the outgoing incumbent being here for quite some period of time. And there's a new and kind of fresh and innovative approach to delivering the green spaces, not just the maintenance services to the green spaces, but a joined up thinking on how to improve them, how to better, and then how to engage stakeholders, the public, everybody to be part of these green spaces. So we are contracted to deliver a maintenance regime, so cutting the grass, making sure that the trees are surveyed and are safe, alongside anything else that happens to be in the green space, and maintenance bins, benches, all those kind of the infrastructure elements. But a significant other part of the contract is we've taken the ranger element from Mid Sussex, they've transferred into us, but also the sports bookings. So what it means is that everything happens in green space in one office now. And so we can have kind of quick turnarounds of decisions, problem solving, issues that can be resolved within our one main office. And we're able to kind of turn around ideas within the contract as opposed to it going kind of around the houses, for want of a better phrase. So part of the element of the contract is that we have a community development officer as part of the contract, and they were based within our office, but it's effectively a shared resource. And alongside that, there is a fund that Glendale pay into, and there's a small amount within the contract too, to develop and seed user groups, friends of groups, and to actively promote, engage, and assist them to set up and to make it easier through the use of lending or purchasing of tools, but also to assist sort of small projects as well. There's another element of commercialisation in the contract, so it's improving the income and usage of sports facilities. But having met and chatted to Bob and others, it seems as though that the sports facilities here are very well used and quite oversubscribed to a certain degree, and perhaps more will become necessary. So the onus on us obviously is to deliver all of that within one package, and have a bright new team coming into place. I've mobilised the contract, and that's the kind of thing I do on a regular basis for Glendale until I find the right people to take on the mantle, and they're all starting in the next couple of weeks. So those names will probably become familiar to some of you. The big difference on the contract, I think, is the fact that it was advertised as a real living wage contract. So that's instantly given some of the people that transferred in quite a significant rise in relation to the fact that it's a 45-hour-week contract, which we've also inherited. And that means we're attracting some really good people that have been lost along the way previously, become slightly disillusioned perhaps with the previous contract, and I've come back. So we've got some really good guys. We were meeting today about how fantastic these people are engaged with the place where they live. It's always quite difficult. I've managed lots of contracts in London, and the workforce is so transient, it can turn over within a couple of years. But in Sussex, people want to stay and develop the places that they live and work, so it's quite different. And to echo some of the elements of training and apprenticeships, we will have at least 2 at all times on the contract. And we've got some joined up thinking going along the lines of Plumpton College, which is just down the road from where we're based, to offer substantive training to all the staff that will gain certificates with vocational qualifications to promote their career and assist them on their journeys, not just with us. It could be, that's their next step to their journey to their career. So the word holistic, we've used it a couple of times internally, and that perhaps now so externally, is that it does include everything and everybody, as opposed to we a contractor going to cut the grass 10 times, work alongside Bob and the Sports Council with how we can improve the sports offer, what needs to be done physically on the ground per se, because I understand that perhaps there's some work to be done there, and having been out and seen many of the facilities, they're a little bit behind where they need to be. But having 9 weeks of pouring rain since we started hasn't really helped. But so there we are. So that's where I am with the contract, and Glendale is with the contract. Got a great new team. It'll be about 40 people once we're fully established, yeah, we're up and ready to go. And it's I've mobilised only 10 of these contracts, and this one has been extremely pleasing with the fact that the people have come back and said, we know who you are, and we want to work for you, which is great, and then we can offer that back to them as well. So it's looking very promising.
Have you got? Thank you. Have you got a district, Mid Sussex sort of office, or where do you sort of operate with us, with Mid Sussex? Where you're going to operate it out of, as it were?
So, given the kind of unusual procurement, which some of you may be aware of, we had a very short time to mobilise. So we have a really quite nice office in the eaves of a barn on a farm, and that accommodates all of our equipment. So that's just in Plumpton Green, so just over the border, about 10 minutes away from Civic Burgess Hill and Havens Heath.
Yeah. Okay. And your team, you're putting together, you said, between now and the next few months, I suppose.
The operational team are all in place.
Yeah.
And day one, we had some objectives to stand up a contract of what's important on day one. Well, it's emptying bins, line marking the football pitches, and making sure that all the drainage channels were cleared. So that was immediate, and that's been sustained. And that was more the kind of the higher horticultural element. So the finessing, we've got some work to do, because obviously the previous contract had a less of an operational base for the final few months, so it's quite evident that things were a little bit untidy out there. So it's a process of catching up, but it's the management team that's taken a little bit long to get into place. None of the management team transferred into us, so we had 6 people transfer into us from the previous contractor. We now have 21 members of staff in place. I feel like I've done 1,000 interviews since I came to Mid Sussex. Okay. I live over the road in Horsham, so it's been a joy to be here, to be honest.
Yeah. Can I just ask? I've asked obviously Bob Shelley from Chair of the Sports Council. Bob, I know you've already been working with Nick and done quite a lot of sort of background work. Do you want to just say what you've done and what you intend to do?
Yeah. When I heard that, to build on what Nick said, when I heard that Mid Sussex were undertaking this procurement exercise for a new or for a renewal of the contract, and kind of engaged with district councillors to kind of establish what was going on. The background to me wanting to do that was twofold. The first one is that what we began to hear, and Rex comes to Sports Council, so what we began to hear from the summer onwards of last year is what a dreadful state our sport pitches were in. So I've never heard, for example, the chairs of the football clubs complain to the same extent. Fair comment, Rex? Yeah. So that's the first reason. And the second reason, and Nick's kind of said, it from the Glendale point of view, is because of the community, the sports community that we've got in our town by comparison with others. So I make comparisons of others. I don't make this in any way other than constructively about us. Is because we've got this sports community. It wasn't difficult for us to collectively come together to be ready to engage with Glendale as soon as they arrived, to get to be move forward constructively, and especially when before the contract was let, I began to hear that there's not the legal details, but the principles of the contract were that it would be a new style of contract, and Nick's kind of articulated that, not about cutting the grass 5 times a year and all the stuff that a service contract is based, that it was much more the modern type of contract that Nick's talking about. And he's mentioned kind of engaging with the community from their side. So what we've done is engage collectively as a sports group with Glendale already. And the 3 things I would say after one meeting, and it's all positive, is that first of all, the sign, and you will have formed your own view from what Nick said, but first of all, the signs are very, very good that Glendale as an organisation will improve the condition of the pitches because they've got a very low base to start from. So we'll be working with them on that. And the second thing is that on top of that, I was saying to Nick just now, our football chairs, for example, and they're the core of the sports pitch inventory, the football pitches, our football chairs were very, very pleased for the first time, certainly in recent years, if not ever, they heard an organisation that does what Glendale do, talking about some of the things which aren't just getting the pitches ready for the line, cutting the grass and painting the lines, talking about ongoing maintenance in the same way that a golf club, with the money that you've got in a golf club, the same way with their thing, their verti-draining and earthquaking, and I forgot the right terms, Nick. And so Nick is saying that that's the kind of stuff they will be doing, and because it's a kind of the way I describe it is an output-based contract. We're hoping that by engaging with these guys and working together, we can, work together to improve the kind of output in a way that's not just us moaning about X, Y, or Z. I mean, there will still be some operational stuff that goes on through the single point of, single office that they've set up, day-to-day routine stuff about, can you do this, that, or the other for the football clubs, and that's the routine stuff. At the kind of strategic level, the signs are very, very good. We think that the condition of the pitches will improve. There's some kind of preventive and improvement stuff going to go on. And the third thing is that we're just the third thing we came away from the meeting with is impressed with Glendale and how constructive they are being about it. And Nick's talked about that.
You've got a meeting coming up. Month's time. Your sports council?
Yeah, the sports council on April the 17th.
Yeah.
Nick, I believe, is going to come along and talk to us about Glendale in the same way that he has to the sports audience.
Great. So we've had a double dose of Nick, which is great, fantastic. Hit the ground running.
Any good advice, mate.
Any questions for Nick? Sasha?
Did I hear you correctly that you had a fund? Where can I find information about this? So I deal with community groups and charities across in Sussex as well as East Bristol. So I'm just interested. It will take time up here, but I'd love to know about it if I can.
So the probably the best thing to do is to speak to myself in the first instance.
Okay.
But I have a lady called Sam Smith, who will be the Partner Development Manager. She starts on the 13th, and she will be the fund holder for the Community Development Fund. I think there's a fairly low threshold of how we kind of decide to apportion the funds, and there is also a top-up facility. So the more sports income we bring in and generating sports income by improving the pitches, then that then falls into that development fund as well. So there's lots of opportunity to actually increase that fund as well. So in the first instance, my contact details, and then Sam Smith from next probably 2 weeks' time, give her a week to.
It's going to be popular.
Okay. Thank you.
Brilliant. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you for that. Sounds really, really interesting. I keep hearing it mentioned, but didn't really understand the details, so thank you. For those residents of our town who maybe aren't into sports, what will they see and notice? So, in the short term, what are they going to see and notice? We know what they notice when it's not been done in the past.
Of course. Well, it'll be a gradual process in relation to where the green stock is at. And so there are some kind of tasks that weren't carried out prior to us taking over. And now we're kind of in the Wildlife and Countryside Act, so we can't do hedge cutting without doing lots of bird surveys first. But it'll be a gradual improvement, but also that working alongside of what everyone would like to see, because there's lots of town councils and parish councils who've been quite keen on things like in bloom, but Favour's moved away from that, and it's now about sustainable planting. So is there some crossover there, and how we can help certainly the town council, local residents with this community development fund, and go about having working groups to improve the community by taking stock of what is there and what there could be, I suppose, But initially, it'll be the fundamental element will be improving the standard of maintenance to the green spaces, because I understand here perhaps some of the principal spaces are under the town council's demise, and it's what we can do to help you do that as well. I'm really aware of that now.
Town,
Oh,
district and
right.
county, of course, so,
Yeah.
public don't know that, they just,
Yeah.
generally don't know that.
Particularly, we've got two different kind of regimes of maintenance
Okay.
side by side.
Yeah, all right, councillor Barnett and then councillor Farragut.
It certainly seems it got off to a very good start with sports organisations, and hopefully that will continue throughout the contract and develop. You made a comment about friends of groups, sort of organisations that have particular interest in a particular plot of land, whatever it may be. Can you give a little bit of what you think might be helpful for them?
So with the role of the community development officer within the contract, I think it's initially that we need to get a heads up on all the groups, where they're at, what they're doing, what their aspirations are, what they have done, what they're going perhaps wanting to do this year. So for example, in Kingston, I think we've got 17 community groups in Kingston, and we have a local website. So basically, it's a Glendale website linked to Mid Sussex or currently to Kingston, which allows all that cross pollination between the groups to see what each other is doing. And what we do is produce a report of a little newsletter, for want of a better term, to update everybody what everyone else is doing, and then it instills a kind of a bit of inspiration of like, well, they've done that, they've made some changes to this area of the park and rewilding corners of the park. So it's about us engaging with all the groups, but also seeding them in relation to providing them the tools and equipment to be successful. Not necessarily kind of engaging in the fact that we'll be part of that group, but enabling them and then growing the seeds of other groups. And they tend to be kind of focused on very specific projects. I know there's the Eastern Road situation, and that's kind of engendered a group to be quite active. So it's getting all those together at some point, whether it's through social media, or it's through our website, or it's in a room at some point.
Okay.
So yes.
Thank you, councillor Farragut, and then Bob.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I sound this question is going to be a stupid question, although apparently there is no such thing. Maintenance. We're talking about maintenance. Are we talking about? I know we're talking about the green spaces, and I get all of that. What about all the hedges and things like that? Is that falling under your remit as well?
Yes.
And I think a little bit of that might be what Councillor Hughes talked about. What are people going to see that aren't going to be using those elements? Because there are certain areas there that type of maintenance has definitely been sorely missed over the last 2 years.
Yeah. So if you, as soon as you step off a pavement into a green space, it's everything within it. So it's the trees, it's the grass, it's the hedges, it's the shrub beds, it's the bins, the benches, the play areas, the higher sports areas, the bowling greens, the cricket. It's absolutely everything that's within a green space, which within the demise of Mid Sussex. There's a few others areas as well, closed churchyards, which are part of the contract, and there's a few other additions. So it's everything within that green space. So we have a remit to fix and mend with a kind of threshold spend. We'll just go out and do it. And it's an open book contract. So it's not about making cash per se. There's a fixed margin, which is very transparent, but it enables us, eyes on the ground, to say that bench needs to be fixed, that bin needs to be fixed, that graffiti needs to be cleaned up, that playground. All the playgrounds seem to kind of little bit tired, so it's about producing a program of development of the play areas too. So
what
it's
about the
kind of
pavement hedges and edges roads and things like that? Is that all?
No.
That's not you?
No, that's still kind of under the civils part of
Right.
the district.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've still got
Thank you.
demarcation between the three
Yeah.
councils. Bob, and then
Thank
town
you.
clerk, and then I need to move on if that's right.
Yeah, just quickly, one thing that came out of, I talked about the pitches became an issue in the summer of last year, and this is predates engaging with Glendale, we were starting to collectively, with particularly the football clubs, to look at that issue, and I was starting to realise what the real concerns that they had. One of the things that was thrown up on that, it's directly of interest in this locality. One of the things that was thrown out by that is the awful condition to the extent that they fall into complete disuse of the pitches on East Court, down at the bottom by the pillion. That has several adverse impacts. The first one is it's a loss of sports pitch inventory locally, and we've got precious little of that, already a deficit. And the second thing is the condition of them is so bad that, as I said, the football pitches have stopped using them. Worse than that, at least one football club uses pitches outside of the district that are maintained by another district. And how sad is that our pitches are falling in such a disrepair that we've got football clubs who are using and speaking highly of how that council looks after its pitches. Now, one of the things that we're going to, and at the same time, I now need to bring into discussion the East Grinstead Memorial Estate, who, as you all know, are the owner, is East Grinstead Memorial Estate, as I understand, and I've got to know Lloyd Richards, the chair, quite well, have engaged with Glendale already, particularly with the focus on the sands and some issues there. So they've already engaged with them. But as part of that, Lloyd was thinking about the football pitches because we were in the same place on that. Because the Memorial Estate has the issue that one of the conditions on the estate is that it needs to be used for recreational use.
Yeah.
So we've got not only the football pitches falling into disrepair, but we're not meeting one of the kind of covenants on the property. So together, Lloyd, the Memorial Estate, the Sports Council, to talk about the bodies, and Glendale will be working together to try and restore
So
the pitches as well.
We're month 3 in, and we definitely hit the ground running in working together. If I could just bring the sound clerk in, because I know she's busy typing, but she's desperate to get in. So, and then we'll conclude. And thank you.
You probably won't be surprised to know that I'm going to ask this question. What are the opportunities for the town council to work with Glendale and pick up some of the work that we used to do for the district council or other work? We used to do the graffiti. We used to do have some small areas of the green spaces that we looked after. There have been various things we've done over the years. With the changing of the contract, we've lost all of that. But we've been told by the district there will be an opportunity to engage with Glendale to talk about other opportunities for the future. So we are very open to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
And we'd like to come talk to us.
No, absolutely. The contractors have such a capacity that obviously we can offer very commercial rates for want of a better term, but we're more than happy to come and talk to you and see what we can do together, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. I'll pass over to Councillor Reid.
Nick, thank you so much for coming in this evening. It's been hugely useful. Again, I wasn't fully aware of the scope and reach that you will be looking after our green spaces, so I'm very grateful. I know that there's going to be loads of us around the table who are going to come and bother you with all sorts of bits and pieces, so forgive us in advance, and perhaps you'll come back and give us an update in a few months' time when you've had a little bit more time to get the team in place. I think it's probably also worth saying thank you to Bob as well for coming in to give us an update. I'm very grateful on that, and I think we all know it's been a very damp winter, so let's hope that with some new resource and some fine sunshine we'll get our pitches back in better form before too long. So thank you both.
Good luck, and you'll certainly have a backing from, as you can see from this evening. So we aim to back that.
Very great reception that we've received, and literally hitting the ground running on the second.
And the delivery of your vans is great. I saw one in. I went up with a rugby club to Teddington, and there was one parked in the car park there. It's very distinctive, very clean and crisp. So you'll see them around. Very good. Okay, gentlemen, you're welcome to stay, but otherwise, have a good evening. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. No sign of. No, okay. All right. We'll move on to community team sport, please. So Alice and Sasha, thank you. Thank you for your reports. Double act tonight, so which is nice. So over to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm only going to really talk about youth, but if anyone's got any other questions about anything else mentioned on the report, just let me know. But before I do go into youth, I do need to admit to a slight error in my report, and that I've forgotten to add in the SID location. So I don't want anyone to think we've forgotten. It's on Lingfield Road, and I know that's an important location, so that is on there, and I will update it to the town clerk just so that's acknowledged there. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give a summary of the youth situation, and then I'll pass over to Sasha, who's going to speak about why we need a youth club in East Grinstead. And then we can answer any questions and pass back to the chair to go through the recommendations. So as a committee, you know that with the support of the Town Council, Sussex Club for Young People was running a 2-hour youth club at the King's Centre on Fridays, but unfortunately this ended in June last year when Skip collapsed. And since then we've been looking for youth workers and how to fill that void. We now have a youth worker that is keen to take this on, along with about 7 or 8 parents and interested adults in the kind of Dunning Sunnyside area, which is great. So we're coming to the committee to seek support and guidance on how to proceed with Town Council backing on for this. So the committee's already put money into the budget for a youth worker, as I'm sure you're aware, for 3 hours a week, which is great. However, to get this set up as a youth club with all the required legalities and safeguarding, the youth services coordinator would also be needed as a current staff and not youth experts. Employing youth staff is the approach that Worth Council and other councils have taken. However, employing 2 part-time staff also comes with the standard requirements and responsibilities of employment. So employing 2 staff, 1 at 3 hours a week and 1 at 10 hours per week for 3 months to set up, and then reducing down to 5 hours a week, can be covered in the 2024-25 budget. However, this would require the use of the earmarked reserves and would require an increase from £3,340 to a minimum of £8,000 in 25-26 budget. The proposed plan is to hold the youth club at our new Sunnyside barn, hopefully at no charge. If the council are running the youth club, then as per normal venue use, it would be appropriate that there is no charge. It's to be considered that a nominal charge for attendees of about £2 is considered, perhaps with a caveat to waive this for those that can't afford it. Yeah, so this is just a brief summary of the logistics. And I'll pass over to Sasha to talk about why we need a youth club.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alice. Feel a bit lonely around this table, but I'll just speak to you all. So for those of you who don't know, I work quite closely with Alice. So I'm also an East Grinstead resident myself, and I work for Mid Sussex Voluntary Action and look after the community groups, very closely linked with being able to all the groups in the area. But we also work with the rest of Mid Sussex as well. So just to give you that background. So yeah, I want to support Alice here today because it's very much in our hearts, the youth of East Grinstead. So a youth club provides a safe space for young people at the heart of the community, provides peer support opportunities for development, friendship, alternative activities away from that education environment. In my opinion, there's a mighty gap in services in East Grinstead. Other than the uniforms and the sports that not all, and the church, that not all young people want to connect with. The group last year was the Sussex Club for Young People group that we set up. The group was made up of councillors, police reps, town council, schools. We all wanted to, and ourselves, the Mid Sussex Voluntary Action. So it was regularly attended. It really plugged a gap after the pandemic where a lot of youth were isolated, and it was regularly attended and kept by 25 because they didn't have any more staff to be able to accommodate. And it was at King's Pavilion where a lot of we know that antisocial behaviour takes place and really worked well. But we were, as Ali said, it folded in June 23 and we were devastated basically. There are youth elements in Lingfield, Ashford Wood, Copthorne, Forest Road, Crawley Down, and none here. There is nothing in East Grinstead other than in my view, the experience of Sussex Clubs for Young People and the risk that that one group held provides evidence that to create a sustainable, supportive and safe youth space that is both for and involves our young people in our development enables adult community members to come forward to support. We have a real opportunity here to support our young people, and after all, these are our residents' business business leaders and community leaders and councillors of the future. So I think it's really important that we support them at a young age going forward.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tricia.
Thank you. Members, well, it's very good. You've got the leader of the council here this evening. So on this committee. Well, I mean, personally, I thank you for a great presentation. And, you know, the Sunnyside is a fantastic facility. I think the work that you've done, and I know, Alice, you've been fronting most of it, and it's, you know, it looks a great facility. And actually down there, you know, you're right close to, you know, the ATC. I know you mentioned the uniform, but ATC and Morton Road, I think they are. I think the NTC are coming into Sunnyside as well. So there's quite a hub down there already. The previous youth facility, was that a county council provided facility? I can't remember now.
No.
They don't have a
Yeah, not West
responsibility for.
Sussex, no.
They don't. I thought the county council did.
Do you mean
Council
Sussex High for young people? Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
youth provision, I thought it was a legal responsibility by the county council.
County council have the responsibility for youth provision. It can obviously be devolved further down. But the responsibility is with county, but county have for a number of years been pulling out of the provision of youth clubs. They still provide the youth support that is necessary and required, which is working one-to-one with youngsters, and the myriad of needs that young people have. But the provision of sort of youth clubs, something that's well disappeared with the Wallace Centre to a large degree.
Yeah.
And
It's 10 years ago.
It is 10 years ago, you're quite right. But it is a responsibility of the county council. They discharge their legal responsibilities.
Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, thank you. I'm interested in making sure the youth of the town are supported as well. So can I just ask, the provision that was previously there, how was that, what were the expectations of the young that attended? What sort of costs were involved then to know what we would look to be expecting to take on? Because, you know, you don't just all get together and just sit in a room on a Friday evening. So what sort of activities and costs were involved before?
It was quite youth-led in they discussed what they wanted to do while they were there. It wasn't supposed to be a structured, organised activity. It was more of a hangout safe space for them to be at. They had activities such as table tennis, they had games consoled, and the youth workers did different activities with them that they kind of worked out at the beginning when they were talking about things like code of conduct as well that they would follow while they were there. So it's something that can be kind of built depending on the age range and who turns up for that as well.
So it would also be, it wouldn't just be a case of the venue and the bits and pieces that are in here, it would be a case of the setting up costs need to be considered as well. Because if they're going to play table tennis, they need a table tennis table. If they're going to play consoles, they're going to need equipment for that. So
yes,
there is a costing element that isn't in this particular report. I'm sure it's more detailed to go to A&T or FGP and moving forward, but a cost cost exercise for moving forward.
Yeah, some of it is setting up costs, so parent helpers that will need DBS checks as part of their kind of the setting up costs. We have actually got a table tennis table waiting to go.
Storage.
Did you say you have a table ready to go?
We do,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have a donated table ready to go, so it's
Yeah.
being used at equipment ready to go.
And we have the storage for it as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
good.
little shed.
That's
There you
good. They take more room than you think table tennis table.
But there is always funding that we can access.
Okay.
We can always add to that funding over time.
There's grants,
There-
things
there
that
are
you know
grants and
that
things
you
that
could
we
apply
add
for
on
and
to
things
it,
like that.
Which we successfully did this year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, no, great. I think this is brilliant. And it doesn't seem an awful lot of money, really, to be honest with you. I wondered two things. Is it just, did you say just a Friday afternoon?
Thursday evening at this stage at the moment in Sunnyside, yeah. And that's when parent and youth worker availability currently is and the space in the hall, so it's working on.
So fast.
And how many, and lastly, how many kids, young adults can we expect or can we handle?
Well, we had 25 at the King's Centre,
Wow.
so I mean, it might be a slow start up and build up to that.
Is there enough space for 25?
But yeah, you
Yes,
can fit
okay.
70 people in the hall.
Okay, yeah, but not with the table tennis.
No.
Yeah.
It would be it would be 70. But if it's run correctly, if the youth group is run correctly, One Burgess Hill does have 70 members. But that built over time, then that's a different entity. But also, I just want to point out, we're starting at the lower age group. The skip one was the higher age group. But the idea is you build slowly and you build on it, and then those kids grow up, and then they hopefully can create an older age
So
group.
what's the lower age group?
So lower age group with 8 to 11.
Okay.
Was it? Which one did you decide to go with?
We haven't finalised that
Yeah,
exactly.
it's about that age.
8 to 11, there's lots of things already out there. It's
Yeah, I
secondary
was
school
thinking
age, you
11.
really need to catch that early
Yeah.
secondary school, that is
11.
7,
Any
8,
other-
9.
Yeah, which is the long-term initiative. If we can get it established and youth provision in the town.
Any other comments from members? If not, I'd like to put a proposal forward that we go forward with please go forward to FGP.
You've got 4 recommendations here, Chair. 3 are for this committee to make a decision on, and then the 4th one will be to recommend to finance and general purposes. So they're at page 3 of your report. There you are, Councillor.
Right, so page 3.
Easier to read than that.
Paragraph 4, got so many pieces of yellow paper in my eyes going. So one is to confirm that we wish the setting up of a youth club at Sunnyside Farm.
Can we caveat that
Can I
within the longer term, the King's Centre as well? Because
Yeah.
that's what Alice has been talking about this evening. That the former youth club was taking place at the King's Centre. That was very successful. We'd like to start with Sunnyside Farm, but actually we'd really like to. We know that the King's Centre is a good venue.
And they're willing to accommodate. Yeah.
Could I just add a tiny comment at this point? I think it's a brilliant idea. I wonder if we're not replacing what was there before, we're looking at a different age group in a different location. And I think I support the proposal, and I think that's a brilliant idea, but I think we probably do need to be reflective of the fact that we're actually building something brand new. This is a very different offer and it doesn't fill the same void.
Councillor.
And I have to just say, I just need to point this out because my job is F&GP leaders. I know it's not this committee, but just think about when we're talking about employing somebody, it's an entirely different kettle of fish. It's a massive difference to having somebody on a casual something hours. There's lots of additional costs that we need to take into consideration. And if we're looking at the hours and everything, and I think I agree with it in principle, but I think in practice we need to have costings of that, because I think that makes a massive difference
Which
moving forward
would need
into
to be done
long-term
for
budgets.
FGP to the next stage, but this is in
Yeah.
principle on the
Yeah.
evening. Agree, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's number 2 is confirmed they're wanting for the youth worker to be employed, but that's subject to the final report and costings. Confirm that a nominal charge to attend the youth group would be made. I don't think so. No, I don't think that if you do that, I don't think your numbers will drop. Because you're probably looking at more vulnerable people.
I feel like we should start the
No.
costing on the basis of we're
No
offering
charge.
something.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah, sorry, what do other clubs do? Sasha?
There's a middle of the road here. Some people offer, some people charge a fee, a small fee, and some don't. And there's people on both sides of the fence. The charging a fee does add value to the person. People do turn up more, but then you've got the other side. I personally wouldn't charge, but I think there's value on both sides. I think if you do charge, you've got to have a caveat that says those who can't afford it, you can speak to us, and you have to have that as well. But I don't know. I'm against charging, but I'm not. I don't think it will. I don't think it will be perfect.
Sorry, can I just say on that as well, because you're talking about it and you put it further up in your report about, I think you say either charge or, and you mentioned about giving free snacks or something. I don't think you can have both. I don't think so. That's another cost. So if you're not going to charge, then you would have like a top shop type bar that would have minimal cost, and do it that way, and then that would be a minimal cost to come in. Rather, and if you're going to do it free, I think you then have to charge for that. Or if you're going to charge, they're going to have a drink and bag of crisps or whatever.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
I'll
that's
I'll
one
try
type
at
of
the
way.
beginning and then have the snap.
I think my take on it is, in principle, we'd love to do it, so to take it forward to work up the detail
Mhm.
to F&GP, a little bit of A&T, town clock, because of the charging situation. Split
Sorry, it won't
committees.
be A&T at all, it'll be F&GP.
F&GP, okay, so I would propose that in principle, this committee, you know, agree that it's a great idea. Thank you for all the work you've done. We used to, you know, historically, we've always had a youth provision in the town, whether it's at Wallace or whoever's kind of run it, but it's been, and you've both spoken, particularly Sasha, very passionately tonight, very persuasive. So can I have a second for that in principle,
second
that
that,
it
yeah.
goes
Yeah.
towards F&GP, not necessarily 2 weeks' time, but, you know, certainly to F&GP at the next available stage, once those details are available. All those in favour? Thank you.
Karen.
Thank you very much for that. Anything else in your reports, guys?
Not until we've got any
No,
questions.
so thank you for that. Great job. You know, so with Sunnyside looks fantastic. Well done with the hirings. That seems to be catching on, which is great. And have the NTC, have they signed up now?
Yeah, they started, they've been going
They've started.
since
And
the
are they
middle of February.
Are they now the Sea Cadets?
They're Sea Cadets,
Sea
yeah.
Cadets, right?
East Grinstead Sea Cadets.
That's fantastic.
You also had a lovely write-up in East Grinstead Living, I think.
Yes, we did, yeah, that was from Beverly Hills
Of course.
Friendship Group.
Really
Yeah.
good, yeah, really excellent. Okay, so thank you very much for your report and for your work. Carry on the great work. Thank you. Okay, we still know Inspector Derek, so I think what we'll do is we'll have to get a report from him post-meeting and a statement for the minutes. So we get tied up on urgent business. Hopefully not too serious. Agenda item 8 is the health update. Well, I touched on that in Chairman's update. It's really just stating how, which is what James said, that with modality, the primary care network here, you know, is Queen Victoria Hospital, it's the pharmacies, it's the lead GPs. I know Moatfield have been involved with modality, and they're all working together under very tight budget constraints and increasingly so. But James coming in was, you know, there's clearly they're going to provide a hub facility there. And you know, everybody's working together, and we just hope that modality, you know, do improve, and we see that reflected in the reports, really. So that report is just for noting, please, for the health update. Agenda item 10, Dementia Action Alliance. So Clark, do you just want to say a little bit about that?
I think it's pretty much clear in the report. What it is we've got with an outline of things that are going to be happening in the town, not all of them run by the council. For Dementia Awareness Week, we're going to have an awareness day at the Carlos Lounge on the Saturday preceding the week. The lovely Sackville College have agreed that we can put the big display of dementia forget-me-nots up on their lawn. And HUK will be running their blue trail. So lots of things going on, and I would really encourage committee, if you have time in your week and you can go and support one of the events or go to one of the cafes when they're having their dementia cafe morning, please go, because talking to some of these people, obviously who are residents of our town and their carers, is actually a really heartwarming experience. So I would really suggest, please encourage you to go and talk to them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for that, Town Clerk. That report is for noting, please.
Noted.
And agenda item 11 is, again, I touched on it before, the multi-agency signposting. Again, it started from the food bank. What I've been talking with the Town Clerk about is to, on our Town Council website, is to create a tab for the contact centre. It's all about signposting, communication, and getting each of the separate 20 plus organisations, instead of working as individual silos, so what I call the Olympic ring effect, and working and overlapping. So Julian's very keen that we can do that. So I think technically that needs to go to F&GP.
I don't think there's any cost involved.
There's not, so
we're just going to get it done.
Yeah, so we'll just get it done. And Julian, you know, will be through with that. So they've had the first meeting, so let's kind of watch this space. And you know, look, so many people doing such great work in the town that it provides a platform and a public forum kind of for them. and they're in desperate need of volunteers like everybody else, but they do need volunteers, and funding, but particularly volunteers, so that's key. So, that report is for noting, please. The next meeting is Wednesday, the 5th of June.
It's likely to be a Wednesday, because the Thursday is D-Day, and we also have our.
It's 80th anniversary of D-Day on the 6th, so it'll be Wednesday the 5th. Okay, thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you, Alice and Sasha particularly. Thank you, Leader, for substituting.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And I end this meeting at 8:14.
I know.